Hackers can pretend they are you and perform online actions on your behalf. All it takes is a cross-site request forgery vulnerability, also known as CSRF, and you visit or click on a malicious URL. Hey, and welcome to Security Bytes, a series of short videos from the GitHub Security Lab aiming to educate developers on common software bugs. CSRF is about the malicious site A sending a request to victim site B while using the cookies of the victim site. To see the attack in action, consider the imaginary scenario where political elections are happening via electronic voting in vote.com. Upon authentication of every citizen, the site provides the browser with a unique cookie and then only accepts one vote per user. A hacking group dropped numerous helper URLs on how to vote that were heavily spread across the internet on the election day, targeting authenticated citizens. While those URLs had indeed helped thousands to vote through step-by-step guides, what could go wrong? Well done if you guessed it right. If vote.com is vulnerable to CSRF, then the hacking group will be in position to vote on behalf of authenticated citizens. This could be done through a script on the malicious URL sending a post request to vote.com, benefiting from a citizen's cookies. Let's now see a real-world example uncovered from our researcher Yaroslav Lobachevsky. He noticed that eShop on Web was based on a template vulnerable to CSRF under CVE 2018-0785, where a logged-in user with enabled second-factor authentication could lose their recovery codes when clicking a malicious URL or visit a site that makes a request without the user's consent. As a result, the user may be permanently locked out of their account after losing access to their 2FA device, as the initial recovery codes will no longer be valid. You might think that CSRF can be prevented by the same origin policy, also known as SOAP. SOAP prevents interaction between resources when their host names, protocol, and port numbers don't match. But SOAP does not prevent CSRF because by design it prevents scripts originating from elsewhere from reaching in. But web pages can always choose to reach out to elsewhere, with authentication cookies being included. To prevent CSRF, ensure that valid state-changing requests are unguessable. Do not reinvent the wheel and use the anti-CSRF functionality that is coming with the web framework you are using. It will handle it for you safely. It is important, however, to understand how anti-CSRF protection works behind the scenes, so let's dive into it. Under the hood, the protection treats each post request as a special snowflake that only works once in the context of its intended use. This can be achieved by including in all forms a hidden field for a secret token so that every time a post request is received, there is a check on whether the secret token is indeed the one corresponding to the specific web session. The hidden CSRF token field doesn't appear on screen, but is included in the post request. The value of the field is a base 64 encoding of a SHA-256 hash of the session cookie, but any per-client secret will work. Here's the Python code that created the anti-CSRF token for the session that is derived from the session cookie. Since the same origin policy prevents the malicious URL from knowing a user's cookie in vote.com, it will be impossible for hackers to come up with the token that should be included in the malicious post request. A slightly different way will be to generate a token that has nothing to do with the session cookie, but you will have to bind it to a session by storing it in an index table. Upon a post request, a lookup needs to be done to check if the token received is binded to the session. In order to change the design of how browsers share their cookies and to mitigate CSRF, a same-site cookie attribute was introduced. Nowadays, most modern browsers apply a secure default value of the cookie attribute, so your web application is less prone to CSRF, even if it doesn't set the value explicitly. Although it is a great improvement, there are ways to bypass it by triggering top-level navigations in order to create a same-site request. Thus, using the anti-CSRF tokens remains the primary defense against this attack. Tell us in the comments which vulnerability you want us to cover next. In the meantime, stay in the loop by following us on Twitter and remember that quality code is secure code.